On number 1, it says the diameter of a face-off circle of ice hockey rink is 30 feet. Find its area. In order to find area, you have to know the radius. To find the radius, you take the diameter and divide it by 2. So the radius is going to be 15. So this would be pi times 15 squared. 15 squared is 225. If I wanted to leave pi in the answer, it would simply be 225 pi. If I multiply by 3.14, it'd be 225 times 3.14, which would give me 706.5. It should be with a squiggly equal sign, and this would be feet squared. In number 2, it said the circumference was equal to 16 pi. What's the formula for circumference? Or 2 pi r. So I'm going to replace c with 2 pi r and set it equal to 16 pi. If I solve this for r, I would have to divide both sides by 2 pi. This is going to cancel out, leaving me just my radius. The pi's are going to cancel out. How many times does 2 go into 16? 8. So the radius is 8. The area is pi times 8 squared. What is 8 squared? 64. They said leave pi in the answer, so just leave it there. Don't do that last multiplication. Okay? And it'd be 64 pi, and this would be yards squared. Questions on the bell work? That's correct. You don't multiply by 3.14. You just leave pi there. It's actually easier to leave pi in the answer than it is to do the extra multiplication. Okay? Homework then. There's the first 11. Okay. Number 7. They gave me this. C equals 4 pi. What's the formula for circumference? 2 pi r then is equal to 4 pi. I want to get r by itself. If I'm getting r by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by 2 pi. This is going to cross out. The pi's are going to cross out. And 4 divided by 2 is 2. When I plug it in to find my area is pi times the radius squared. What is 2 squared? 4. That's why this is 4 pi square units. Which one? Here? The answer is right here. Why would it be divided by 2? The formula says this. Area equals pi r squared. Is there any division by 2 in the formula? Then why would I divide by 2? If they give you a diameter, the first thing you have to do is do what? Right. This is a diameter. I have to divide this by 2 to get a radius, because in area, unlike circumference, in area, I have to use the what? Radius. I don't have a choice. Okay? Others from 1 through 11. Okay. So number 8 would be the same type of thing, where they gave me C equals 12 pi. What can I put in place of c? 2 pi r. And a whole reason for doing this is I want to find the value of r. In other words, I want to solve this for r. R is being multiplied by 2 pi. I divide both sides by 2 pi. That's going to make this cancel out, leaving me just the radius. The pi's are going to cancel out. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Area is pi times the radius squared. So it's pi times 6 squared. But what is 6 squared? So I have 36, and I leave pi alone, 36 pi. Anything else from 1 through 11? Reardon.
Oh, okay. You multiply 6 times.
Right, 6 times 6. That's what it means to square something.
Because I was kind of confused about that. I was like,
Yeah, it's not 6 times 2, right? It's 6 times 6. Others from 1 through 11. Number 6. I got to actually look to see what number 6 said, because I don't have it in front of me. Jenna, hand me your paper. Number 6 says a company makes steel lids that have a diameter of 13 inches. What is the area of each lid? Round your answer to the nearest hundredth. There you go, Jenna. If the diameter is 13 inches, the radius, I'm going to divide it by 2, and I'm going to get 6.5. Area is pi r squared. So it's 3.14 times 6.5 times 6.5. 3.14 times 6.5 times 6.5 is equal to 132.665. It said round to the nearest hundredth. So I'm going to look at this number. This is going to be 132.67 inches squared. Yes?
for number 10, what was the answer for?
16 pi.
I just tried to solve it because I got it wrong and it's not spelling. And it's
Read it to me.
a circular pan has an area of 54 pi squared. What is the circumference of the pan? Give your answer in terms of pi.
Okay, so the area is 54 pi what? 64? 64 pi what? Okay. Remember that everything is driven by a formula. What's the formula for area? Pi r squared. If I solve this, and I'm trying to get r by itself, the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of the multiplication. I'm going to divide by pi. I'm left with this. R squared equals 64. What is the opposite of squaring something? Not dividing. The square root is the opposite of it. R is equal to, technically, it's equal to a plus or a minus 8. But could I have a negative radius? No. So it would just be a positive 8. Okay? They asked me to find the circumference. The circumference is 2 times pi times r, which is 8. What's 2 times 8? Okay? Anytime they're telling you they've given you the area, immediately write down the area formula. It is a formula-driven problem. The minute they tell you they've given you circumference, write the formula down for circumference. It is a formula-driven problem. Everything that you need to know is going to be inside of that formula. Are we good?
Can
Reardon, can I go? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, you're going to have to read number 5 for me. What does it say?
It says a DVD has a diameter of 12 centimeters. What is the area of the DVD?
Okay.
Round your answer to the nearest rule.
If the diameter is 12 centimeters, the first thing I have to do is divide 12 by what? 2 to find the radius. So the radius is 6 centimeters. The area is pi times r squared. 3.14 times 6 times 6. 3.14 times 6 times 6. 113.04 centimeters squared. Okay? Are we good with that page now? There's 12 and 13. David, I actually don't mind if you're there. But if you're not looking at the answers, you have no reason to be laying on the floor.
Why is that on there too? I had the answer, but I did not. I had the answer, but I closed it.
Uh-huh. Do I need to go over 12 or 13 for anybody? Listen, the minute I see this, what is the area? Pi r squared. They said the most popular pizza at Pavone's Pizza is 10-inch personal pizza with one topping. That means it's got a 10-inch diameter. If D is equal to 10, what's R equal to? 5. 3.14 times 5 times 5. It's just number crunching on a calculator. 3.14 times 5 times 5. 78.5 inches squared. The minute I see this, area, what do I write down? Pi r squared. And again, I write that down every time I know that I'm dealing with a circle, area of a circle. Obviously, I'd write down a different formula if I was writing down the area for a triangle, right? Now, it said this one has a radius of 16. So I don't have to divide anything by 2. I'm taking pi times 16 squared. 3.14 times 16 times 16. This one I get exactly what you see here, 803.84, and it would be centimeters squared because they're talking about area. Pretty good? There's 14 through 16. A radio station broadcasts a signal over an area with a radius of 50 miles. The station can relay the signal broadcast over an area with a radius of 75 miles. How much greater is the area of one compared to the other? So I've got to find the area of 2 different circles and subtract them. The radius of one is 50. The radius of the other one is 75. The area of this one then is pi times 50 times 50. And the area of this one is pi times 75 times 75. Yes?
I tried solving for my
Okay. 3.14 times 50 times 50. This came up to 7,850. When I go to do this one, 3.14 times 75 times 75. This one comes up to 17,662.5. And I would subtract. Minus 7,850. And it gives me 9,812.5. It says round your answer to the nearest square mile. So this is going to round up to 9,813. Okay. You said you tried this one, but you're not getting the right answer, right?
Yeah, I tried it.
A stained glass window is shaped like a semicircle. Okay? If it's shaped like a semicircle, the area is no longer pi r squared. The area is pi r squared divided by 2. Because if it's a semicircle, instead of the whole circle being there, like this, right? How much of the circle is actually there? Half of it. So we're not looking at this part, we're only looking at this part. If the area of the whole thing was pi r squared, then the area of half of it is pi r squared divided by 2. Did that answer your question? Okay. Anything else from 14 through 16? There's 17 and 18. The sides of a square field are 12 meters. There's my square field, 12 meters, 12 meters. A sprinkler in the center of the field sprays with a circular area with a diameter that corresponds to a side of the field. In other words, they're saying my radius is going to take me all the way out to here. How far is it from the center to the outside of this square?
12.
It's not 12, it's how far? 6. Okay? And they said how much of the field is not reached by the sprinkler. So when I draw this circle in, I've got to find the area of the square, which is 12 times 12, or 144. And I've got to subtract from it the area of the circle, which is pi r squared, which is going to be 36 pi. 36 times 3.14 is 113.04, and I'm going to subtract that from 144. And it gives me 30.96 meters squared. Okay? This area is not going to get watered. Good? Everybody okay? There's 19. A bakery offers a small circular cake with a diameter of 8 inches. It also offers a large circular cake with a diameter of 24 inches. The radius is 12. If I look, there's 3 times as great, right? So a lot of people think that the area is going to be 3 times as great. The simplest way to do this problem is to remember that area is always units what? If I change one dimension, one length, I also changed the width by the same amount. What's 3 times 3? 9. I got to remember that whatever I change something by, I'm squaring it. So the difference is going to be 9 times as big. If I figure this out, the area of this would be 4 squared is 16 pi. If I figure this one out, the area of this one would be 144 pi. If I divide the two, what would happen to the pi's? And 144 divided by 16, guess how big it is? 9. And the reason it is because if I take the 3 times as big on the one dimension, if I make sure that I do 3 times as big on both dimensions, 3 squared is what? 9. Everybody okay? Today we're going to talk about area of composite figures. A composite figure is something that's no longer just one shape, it has multiple shapes involved in it. Don't make it harder than it is, it just means that you're going to find the area of maybe 2 or 3 shapes, and you're going to add those areas together. That's all there is to it. Probably the hardest part about it is the way I see taking something apart and the way you see taking something apart might be different. Yes. Okay. I just want you to take a look at that drawing that's there on the front. They say, how could I find the area of this? And I don't want you to draw anything on it. I just want you to take a look up at the picture on the board. And I want you to recognize that I could draw a line across here like this. And I could draw a line like this. And what would I have? A triangle, a rectangle, and a rectangle. Okay? It looks kind of squarish, but it's definitely not. Okay? I could have drawn those lines in that way, and I could have done the area of 3 different shapes. I could have drawn a line in this way. This is a trapezoid. I could have drawn another one in here. This is also a trapezoid. This is also a trapezoid. I could have added 3 different trapezoids together. Still would have worked, wouldn't it? Okay. I could have done this. A line right down the center and a line right across here. This, in fact, may be one of the easier ones because these 2 trapezoids are exactly the same. And then one little rectangle. Does it matter where I draw it? No. What's important is that wherever you draw it, you know the formula for that shape. Trapezoids might not be a formula you have memorized. So you might say, look, I know how to find the area of a triangle. I'm going to draw the line across there, so go ahead and draw that one so we all do it the same. And you may say, look, I see I can cut this off, so draw that one across there. I have 2 different rectangles and a triangle. What's the formula for the area of a triangle? Area equals 1/2 BH. What's the base of this triangle? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The base is 8. What's the height of this triangle? Okay? So, on the triangle, if I take 1/2 of the base 8 times 2, the area is going to be 8. Everybody with me? On the rectangle, since we already counted this, this is 8. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. This would be 8 by 4, which is 32. This one is 3 by 2, which is 6. How would I find the area of the whole composite? Add them together. I would take 8 plus 4 plus 6. Whoops, I mean 32, wasn't it? Where did I get the 4 from? 8 plus 32 plus 6. 8 and 32 is 40, plus 6 is 46. And it would be square meters. Everybody with me? A composite solid is nothing more than one shape kind of being put together. And you have to add those pieces together. What's important then is that you know the formulas. If you turn to the next page, those formulas I made you write down earlier this week, they're here. You need to have these memorized. They will not be on a reference sheet this year. Okay? If you don't know the formula for a triangle, a square, a rectangle, a parallelogram, and a trapezoid, you need to learn them. Okay? Let's take a look. I'm going to skip that one. I want you to have more time. Let's take a look at this one. Number 3. What two shapes am I putting together? A square. It is 10 by 10. This is a square. A square and a semicircle. What's the formula for the area of a square? It's actually a side squared, which would be 10 squared. This is 100 meters squared. Side times side also works, because they're the same number, right? What's the formula for the area of a semicircle? Pi r squared divided by 2. What's the radius? 5. Okay, thank you. 3.14 times 5 times 5 divided by 2. What'd you get? 39.25. So the area of this composite solid, 139.25 meters squared. You said 25, didn't you? 39.25? Okay. Okay. Yeah, I added these two together. Everybody okay? There's your assignment. 5 through 14. Yeah, I don't know how that got up there.